Guys, how's it going? Today we're gonna be working on this fucking thing. Buy a nice truck, they said. Put big wheels and tires on it, they said. Well, I got a wheel seal leak, and you can see on the inside of this wheel here, it's leaking a little bit. So today we're gonna pull the rear axle out, take this hub apart, pull the brake caliper off, and change the inner and outer bearings and wheel seal on this hub. So far we got the wheel off, the brake caliper bracket, the brake rotor, and I've got the bolts out of the axle, and I'm going to pull the axle out here. I'm going to make sure, try not to hit the spline, like try not to do that. Slide it out slowly. Alrighty, set this aside. Okay, now we've got to pull a snap ring out here, and then pull there's a key in this keyway. We'll pull that out, and then we'll be able to bust that nut loose, and I'll come back and show you all then. This is a little different on these newer trucks. It doesn't have a snap ring, it just has this retainer that slips over this nut, and I just used a pick right here and got it in here behind one of these and pulled it out, working my way around, and then I just pulled that key out, which is right here.
Yes, sir.
I pulled this out, which holds that nut stationary inside the axle hub, and then unscrewed the nut. And now we're going to pull this out as soft and gently as we can. Try to break the seal. Slide this on. See 2 lug nuts on there. Drain some of the oil out. Alrighty, that's how you pull it. Hey guys, it's currently 3:54 a.m. and I just got in from work, and I was going to try to get this thing thrown back together. So far I've got the new bearings in. The old ones were a pain in the butt to get out, but thanks to a couple punches and a big hammer, I was able to do so. But I've got these new bearings seated in here, snap ring installed, and I'm about ready to put this back on, and then let's see what we can do. Okay guys, I got the hub set back on here. It's not all the way back yet, but I'm going to use this nut to seat the bearings on the inner races versus on the spindle to set everything. And I'm probably going to use a torque wrench and torque it to 55 foot-pounds and then back it off until I get to the loose hub I want. Okay guys, I torqued this nut here to 55 foot-pounds while spinning it backwards as I was torquing it, and then I backed it off a quarter turn or until the hub frees up, and then they say loosen it, turn it back to line up the keyway. And so now I'm going to insert that key in there, and then that ring. Okay guys, I got it all back together. So after I got that nut torqued down to 55 foot-pounds and then loosened back a quarter turn and then loosened a little more to line up the key, and then putting the retaining clip around that nut, to hold the key in place. I installed the axle, getting it lined up, putting some RTV on between the axle and the hub. Installed the nuts with some blue Loctite. These right here. Installed these with some blue Loctite, just probably hand tight. And then I put the rotor back on, the caliper bracket with caliper on, and I torqued the caliper bracket bolts, put some blue Loctite on those and torqued them to 85 foot-pounds. Then I put the wheel back on, put the lug nuts back on, and then I torqued these flange nuts to 185 foot-pounds with blue Loctite on them. So that should cover everything. I'm gonna let this RTV dry, and then in the morning I'm going to park this truck on a heavy incline to where this side is lower, substantially lower than that side, to let the gear oil drain into this hub, and then drive it onto level ground and then check the differential fluid, and I'll go ahead and videotape that as well, so I'll keep y'all updated. Y'all have a great night. Good morning, guys. So I just finished getting my GMC hub done. I was going to show y'all. This is what the dealership calls out for the rear end in 2017 2500 HD, and they recommended, I don't know if you can tell right here, there's like a big hill or incline, and I drove the truck up and parked it on that hill so that the axle, let's see here, so I changed out this hub over here, so I parked it on the incline so that the axle would let the gear oil from the differential drain into that bearing and that hub, so that way I'm not running them dry. So when I did that, I let it sit there for about 20 minutes, and then I drove it over here on some fairly level ground and took the fill plug out and topped off the gear oil. So that should be a wrap. I'm going to drive it around and see if I got any leaks, but hopefully not. So that was changing the rear axle bearings on a 2017 GMC 2500 HD. And man, it was pretty intensive pressing those bearings out, but hopefully it'll be worth it in the end if I fix the leak.